Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. No, I don't think so. Welcome. Okay. My name is Jess. She is Zoe. They are Nori. She is Janet. She is Mariette. We are Soul's Grace this month, unfortunately. But welcome back to the Novel Bunch channel. Today,
and she's frozen.
We are going to be doing our discussion of. Oh no! Have I really? Have I frozen?
You're back. You're back.
Oh, yeah.
It was
so today. Today, if anyone has their copy to hand, because I don't, and I'm a bad host, we are going to be discussing Alice Oseman's Loveless, and I am so happy that we are discussing this book. I am a massive Oseman stan. Anyone who knows me, like these guys all know it. I am a massive Alice Oseman fan. Since reading Radio Silence last year, and now having read the rest of her books, basically, I only have one left to read, and then I don't know what I'm going to do with myself.
What one is that?
Was I Was Born for This. I still haven't read that. But today we're talking about her most recent novel, which came out last year. It follows Georgia as she goes to university and discovers her sexuality and comes to terms with it. There's a lot of an aromanticism rep. It comes from a very, very personal place for Alice, because it was at uni that she discovered that she was an ace, and I thought it was a really, really interesting book. I have my notes, talking points. So let's kick things off with general thoughts and ratings. Does anybody mind if I go first?
Nope.
Okay, so I fucking love this book so much.
Language.
I think literally, I adored this book so much. I felt so seen reading this. I'm not aromantic. I'm on the asexual spectrum. So all of Georgia's inner monologue when she's going through all of her stuff, that she's like, I'll like, crushes are fine. I've had crushes and all that sort of stuff. When she's really trying to work out who she is, I was just like, oh god, it's me. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I haven't given any Alice Oseman less than 5 stars. And this was no different. 5 out of 5. Characters 5 out of 5. Writing 5 out of 5. I loved it. The rep is amazing. It's messy, complicated friendships. There's humor alongside heartache, and it just made me realize how normal like asexuality is, and like all the thoughts that went through my head when I was younger like make sense now. So I loved it. 5 out of 5 stars. Zoe.
I finished it and updated my Goodreads 3 minutes ago. I honestly, I've had a very interesting month, so I haven't had time to finish it. But I finished it now, and I gave it 4. I thought it was really comforting to read. It was very easy to read. I've never been to Durham. I've always wanted to go to Durham, and now I want to go to Durham more. And yeah, I just thought I really liked the characters. I really thought they were such relatable, comfortable characters, and I absolutely adored the friendship between Grady and Georgia. I absolutely loved it. And Sunil, I just adored. I just adored all of them. I just thought it was great, and I felt like the way she wrote was so, like I could just hear it all. Like it was so relatable. Like everything they talked about, and the way they call each other my dude made me laugh. So it made me think of the vine. The clock stinging. And yeah, I just thought it was a really good book. I thought it was really well written. It was really comforting, like cozy to read, and it made me miss those kind of first few months at uni where you're making these best friends and you're just like lying in bed together, like, oh my god, you're my best friend for life, and everything's just really kind of cozy because it's your first kind of idea of independence. And I'm just really glad that Roderick made it through to the end of.
Oh yes, Roderick. Yeah.
I thought it was very symbolic of him to be dying at the scariest moments and then starts coming back to life as each of them do. So yeah, 4 out of 5 from Zoe.
Nori.
For me, a clear 5 stars, 5 stars all the way. It's like Alice Oseman crawled into my brain and wrote down what I was thinking. Particularly when it came to the absolute obsession with Shakespeare.
Oh, yeah.
And the love of the movie musical Moulin Rouge.
Yes.
Also, yes. And the struggling with, like, asexuality and going like, no, I have to, this isn't normal. Which I still struggle to this day. So for me, clear 5 out of 5 stars. I love the characters. I did want to yell at a couple of them. Even like every character, I think, except Sunil, every character I wanted to have a quick take them to the side and go, look, this is what's going on with this character. I just wanted everyone to communicate better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when books make me feel like that, like I could actually talk to this person, even though they're just words on a page, I love it. 5 stars. And more Shakespeare-themed books, please.
Amazing. Mariette.
I gave it a 4 on Goodreads, but in my head it was a 3.5. And it's not because it was badly written, it was written amazingly well, as the others said, but just because I don't tend to read books that are that close to home for me. So although it was easy to read in the sense it was really well written, it was a struggle to read that it was so close to home and so close to my experience with deciding that what I wanted to label myself, which I still haven't decided, with going to uni and having the extrovert drag you everywhere. It's in my case that was Jess. But it was just yeah, no. So it's I think it's a really good book, and it's a really good representation for a spectrum of sexuality that is just not represented very well out there. But yeah, I personally gave it a 3.5 just because I found it hard to read in my current headspace.
Fair.
Yeah.
And Janet.
Yeah, so I rated it 4 stars. I feel like in a way I'm similar to Mariette. I feel like I'm not sure if I definitely would have rated it 3.5 in my head. Maybe more like 3.9 or something like that. I don't know. I think it's because contemporary and like YA is something it's not necessarily my first choice of book, but I thought in terms of the reason I gave it 4 stars overall is because of the representation. I thought, I think as everyone's already said, it's not something we really see. You get a lot of obviously LGBTQ plus doesn't just revolve around sapphic relationships or gay relationships or or bi relationships. There's so much more to it. So I thought that was really important to read, and especially because when you go to university, there's so many university books, fictional books out there which talk about the first year of university and your experiences and stuff. But I feel like they're all kind of the same. So I appreciated that this one it did get a bit messy sometimes, and it was kind of petty drama. Also, I think that's partly why I lowered it slightly from a 5, because I got really annoyed with some of the characters. Kind of like Nori said, I just wanted to pull them inside and be like, are you kidding me? You're going to do that? But yeah, no, I thought generally it was well written, and yeah, I just kept thinking I wish I could go back to uni and just do it all again a little bit. So yeah.
With the wishing to go back to uni, I 100% feel that, particularly with my revelations that I've had about myself over the past year or so. I'm like, I wish I could go back to uni and just do it again, knowing what I know now.
Yeah. Okay, so that's our general thoughts, and I'm gonna give a very brief plot summary for people who haven't read the book. Basically, the book was Georgia, Pip and Jason as they go to university in Durham, which is incidentally where Alice Oseman did her BA degree, so she knows the university. And when she's there, she meets her roommate, Georgia, who is kind of like her complete opposite, her polar opposite. And she basically goes on a journey of self-discovery, realizing that she is not straight. She is part of the LGBTQIA+ community, and in that acronym she is the A. We love it. And the whole book kind of revolves around the messy friendships and how she comes to terms with her sexuality and how she goes about coming to it. Like I say, it is very, very messy, and I think that's quite interesting. It shows that coming out is not easy, is not just like one big thing and, oh, look, it's over. Like, I've come out, therefore I don't need to come out again. There's all this discussion of you will always have to keep coming out to different people in your life, and the fact that coming out cannot be a big dramatic thing. Sometimes it can just be a messy series of events. So it looks at friendship dynamics and how they shift and change when someone goes to uni versus how they're at school, and exploring your own identity. So that's kind of the plot summary, very, very brief. I can't go into too much without spoilers, I think. So I've got quite a few things before the spoiler zone that I want to discuss. So the first thing I want to talk about is, what does the title Loveless mean to you before you read the book versus after you read the book? So I'm going to go around again. So Zoe, Nori, Mariette, Janet, like that. So Zoe, do you want to go first, seeing as you finished reading it literally 5 minutes ago? So you've got a really fresh idea.
It was 14 minutes ago.
Details.
Loveless. Good question. I think going with the graphology of the front of the book as well, where she's looking down, you can't see her face, she's kind of like unidentifiable, which is quite a symbolic as well. And you know, she's got the love hearts and stuff. The image that she presents is quite sad. So then tying that with the word loveless, your initial impression is that she's without love in every sense of like. But then I suppose you might instantly go to a romantic loving, you know. Tricky. And then you just kind of feel like she's not got. I kind of read it as she was loveless, as in like no one loved her. And then finishing it, it's kind of ironic in a way, isn't it? It's like, because she's not loveless, she's actually surrounded by love the whole time. It's just kind of identifying, obviously, herself and who she is and how she identifies and understanding the terms of it all. And so maybe she's loveless in the generic sense of she's not going to be romantically involved, you know, sexually involved with anybody, but which is totally fine. But she's not loveless in every other way. She's got her family love, which is, you know, you look at it, you challenge it with her cousin and stuff like that, and she's got all of this. So, yeah, I think it's like an ironic contrast.
Nori, what does the title mean to you?
At first, it's like, but just the word loveless just makes me feel sad. Just that word in general just makes me feel like, oh, I want to give that word a hug. I want to make it feel better. It seems so sad. It's just sort of like a word that in my personal world, it's like, I'm not fond of, obviously, but it is sort of reading the book, you sort of go, okay, so it's like, though you're loveless, it doesn't mean you're love nothing. You don't have nothing love. That is not a word, but I'm using it.
A Noriism.
A Noriism. It's like, you're not love nothing. You just have less love than other people think you should have, but it's just enough love for you. And also the cover, it looks like it could be seen as like the love hearts are going away from the person, but it could be that the love hearts are falling down the person, because they're holding the biggest one, which is self-love. Ta-da!
Amazing.
Yeah.
Mariette.
I was not prepared for that question.
Mariette, what does it mean to you, Loveless? Maybe before you read it and after you read it.
Basically, I just found my bookmark in Loveless. I was wondering where I put that. I've read about 2 books since then, so. Right, Loveless. I don't know. Alone. It kind of makes you seem alone, like you're loveless. as it sounds alone, like you're without any love whatsoever. But after reading the book, you kind of understand the title, and yeah, you're not alone. You have friendship love. You've got a family love, and yeah, it's just romantic love you're without. So yeah, I agree with Nori, and it's love less in a particular area instead of loveless. But at the start, it's kind of definitely alone, and then it moves to understanding it's a different kind of love that she has with other people.
Absolutely.
I'm done now.
Panic.
Yeah, kind of the same as everyone else has already said, to be honest. I think, like, going into it, I already knew the themes of the book. I knew that it was about an asexual character, so I was kind of like, okay, well, that makes sense why it's called Loveless. Like, she's going to be finding a journey that whatever love means to her, or something to that extent. And, yeah, I guess, I think, yeah, ultimately it's just about, like, how, I'm sure whatever your sexuality or preference or whatever it is, I think everyone feels like they're not loved at some point because you're so caught up on the idea of finding the one and like your soulmate, whatever that looks like, you know.
Yeah.
So it's easy to feel like you're unlovable or you're just weird because you haven't found them yet or whatever. But then at the end of the day, I guess that's the point of the book. It's like, well, everyone can be each other at some point. So that's not true. Let's just be all happy. Like, you know, it's not really but you know what I mean? Like, there's no point worrying about it. Kind of.
Yeah.
I don't really know. I'm trying to say something about everybody else, but yeah.
So I think, like, for me, when I read it before, I was just like, the idea is like, you're loveless, you don't feel that love, you don't have that love reciprocated to you. But I think afterwards, being like, the first that you think of is romantic. And to be honest, I still think Loveless is lacking the sort of love that in some ways it's not a bad thing. But like not being able to have that romantic attraction or sexual attraction isn't necessarily a bad thing. It doesn't invalidate you as a person. That the title itself could be interpreted to make you think that because you are loveless, you are less of a person. So it's something you're lacking, but in reality, it's not something that is necessarily lacked. It's something that some people just don't experience. So that's kind of my 2 cents on the thing. And then next I have is, has the book changed your opinions on asexuality, aromanticism, and its place in the LGBTQIA+ community? Tough topic, but it leads into the spoiler zone, which will be a question later on. So there's a certain individual, don't mention them. Zoe, do you want to go first with that one?
Could you repeat the question? You broke up as you started it.
Okay.
And again.
So the question is,
Yeah.
am I okay? All good?
Yeah.
The question is, has it broken again? Am I here?
From what I heard, it's, has the book changed your opinion on asexuality and aromanticism in the LGBTQ+ community and where it stands within that?
Yeah, its place
in
the community. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're all talking about a certain somebody who we all definitely should hate.
Oh,
I can't remember his. Oh, now I remember his name.
I don't remember his name, but I know who you're talking about.
Has it
Zoe.
I don't know. I wouldn't say it has, but I mean, I've been kind of fortunate in the sense that, you know, you two are my friends, and I accept you guys wholeheartedly, and it's never been a question for me that it's wrong because it's. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just that's just it. You know, that's who you are, and it's beautiful and it's great, and nothing should ever question that. But take myself out of that position, I think, well, I suppose it links into what I said earlier about my kind of generic thought of the book, is that it is such a comforting read, and these characters are so lovable, to challenge the name of the book. And everything's just so, I think there's just such an amalgamation of everything in this book, you know, and everyone is just who they are. And it's not even questioned in that respect. And it's less about, I don't think this is a spoilery way of saying it, but it's less about kind of everyone else's acceptance of someone and how they should deal with it. It's more about self-acceptance, and in some way that kind of belittles any thought of anyone else's thought on it, because it's actually nothing to do with anybody else really. So it's just so normal, and I think that's what's great, is because you don't go into this book thinking, I suppose it probably is a learning curve for a lot of people, because you know that they're not as talked about terms maybe, and then newer terms. So I think the way the whole book is written, the characters are written, and the acceptance from everybody, or you know, anyone that's got a question about it or is against it, you know, it just challenges everything and makes you. So I think as a representational book, it's actually really strong, because it's not about trying to teach everybody else to accept the sexuality. It's just about educating people on what it is and reminding people that they exist, and it's not an internet term. So I think it's probably has changed the standing of it in the LGBTQI+ community, because it's promoting it as what it is, which is just what it is, you know. It's just who people are, and that's great. So yeah, I'm going to say it probably has, because it's written the sexuality as a beautiful normal thing, which is great.
Awesome. Nori, same question to you.
I haven't experienced asexuality, but it taught me a lot about a romantic side of things, because I sort of struggle with, like, the way people struggle with comprehending asexuality. I have struggled with comprehending aromanticism, just because I'm a weirdly highly romantic person. You should see the amount of gifts I have right next to my chair right now for all my lovely friends and people.
That's not weird. You're just as obsessed with romance.
But for me, it taught me quite a bit about aromanticism in a way that sort of helped me understand it. It was sort of like I still struggle with it a little bit, which I'm trying not to, but more like the pairing of just being aromantic, I don't quite understand in my head just yet, but I'm trying to educate myself.
This book does do a good job of educating, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it was really good. So I now have a much better understanding about being aromantic, and I can sort of see a little bits of myself in that as well, but not a lot. Just sort of things that make me go, let me reconsider why I'm like this. But I don't think I've fully. It's a whole thing, but it was very good at like talking about that, and it made it very easy to understand.
Yeah.
So, I first learned what demisexual and asexual was at university. I didn't really do much research into it, but I understood that I fitted under that umbrella, and it kind of stayed there for years. This book, which is why I found it such a struggle to read and not as comforting as other people, I didn't know that aromantic was necessarily a separate part of asexuality before this book. In my head, asexuality was people who didn't like sex. I didn't know before this book that there was another group of people who generally just didn't feel love. And that is why I find it so hard, because I am one of those people. Crushes I've had were because other people were like, you should have a crush on someone, who it is? Well, I like that person's friendly, I might as well say them. without saying too much about it, because I don't particularly want to, as I'm still deciding and unscrambling the thoughts in my own brain of what it means and whether I do sit there or not. It made me understand that there were two parts of asexuality. It wasn't just the you don't feel sexually attracted to anyone. It was the fact that you don't necessarily feel love for anyone else in that sense as well. So yeah, so it made me learn more about what was out there more than anything else.
Yeah, so I think my computer froze a little bit, so if I repeat anything anyone else has said, then that's why. But yeah, I think going into it, I kind of already knew like not everything about being asexual or aromantic, because I don't know anything about it. But I think, like Zoe said, like knowing people who know more about it than I do is obviously an advantage. I think I'd like to think I'm a pretty like open-minded person. Like, I'm very accepting no matter what. So I don't think I have to change my opinion and such on like whether it should be part of the LGBTQIA plus society. But yeah, I think like everyone else has said, I think I just learned more about like I think especially sort of seeing it through George's eyes and someone like going through it themselves rather than say as a side character who's already done the figuring out, like even if he doesn't, you know, you have a light bulb moment one day and then it's done. Like I quite liked how it's kind of not a slow process. I don't really know how to explain it very well. Like you kind of see it clearly. I don't know, and I think that made it easier as someone who might not understand someone who is asexual and like why they're. Well, I don't know. I don't really know if I'm explaining this very well, but as someone who is straight, there's a good way to see it like and have it sort of explained, but in a very what's the word like sensitive way, kind of. I don't really know if I can explain it very well, but yeah. I thought they did. Alice did a good job of all of that.
Awesome. Yeah. So yeah, for me, obviously, I've openly identified as asexual since third year of uni, so mid 2017. I literally was on Facebook one day and found a description of grey asexuality and went, "Oh shit, it's me." That was kind of my realization. And I actually came out to my boyfriend at the time. I was like, "I still love you," sort of. Obviously, months later, dumped my ass. But yeah, it definitely changed my standing. One who really recently realized that they weren't. Coming to terms with the sexual side of it was actually a lot easier than I thought it would be, in that there was no internalized homophobia that a lot of people face, and even Georgia faces that in Loveless. She is internally homophobic of herself at one point, which is really tough to read. And you do see it with quite a few instances in the queer community. You will see internalized homophobia because straight heteronormative world, big scary thing. But this book definitely changed my level of understanding of aromanticism and how tough it can be for people in a society where so much emphasis is placed on finding the one and romantic love. And she literally mentions in it that love and sex is all in all the media, in movies, TV, music, books, podcasts, anything that you can think of. There is a romantic spin, and it really opened my eyes to ways in which aromanticism can be represented and should be represented in more media. So it gave me ideas, but also it was just nice to see them. It was so nice to see this sort of representation in such a mainstream book, and you can really clearly tell that Alice has put her entire heart and soul into these characters, into this story,
and has used a lot of personal experiences of her time coming to terms with the fact that she is asexual, she is aromantic, and in some ways as well, sometimes she uses they them pronouns as well, so gender fluidity as well, which is represented through Sunil. Uses he him and they them pronouns, so that's another little bit, but that's my 5 cents on the thing. We are about to head into the spoiler zone. So for anyone who is watching this back and has not read the book, proceed at your own risk, because welcome to the spoiler zone, people. So my first question in the spoiler zone. George's journey of self-discovery is very real and raw. How did you feel experiencing her struggle from the outside if you're not or a row? / how did they compare to your own sexuality if you identify as asexual or aromantic or both? Long wordy question. Does anybody mind if I go first?
Go for it.
It's a long question. Let's get it going. The story is very raw, which is, you're going through the story with her in time, basically, and as she's coming to terms with it, you're seeing her coming to terms with it, you're seeing her thought process and everything, and how confused she is. All of her friends are trying to help her, but it's not really helping. They think they're doing good, but they're not. And for me personally, my coming to terms with my sexuality, like I said just now, it was a lot easier than this. I didn't have the internalized homophobia that Georgia goes through. I didn't hate myself because I realized I wouldn't feel sexual attraction to somebody. I was just like, okay, I still have the romantic feelings. I still can have relationships like this. It was really quite distressing in a way to read her saying, I will never feel love. I will never be able to be in a relationship, sort of thing. And I'm just going, no, but you have your friends, and that's more important. Friends are for life.
Not just for Christmas.
Exactly. So that's kind of how I felt reading her self-discovery. It was real and raw, but at sometimes it was really, really quite tragic, and I really felt so sorry for her. But also at times I just wanted to slap her and go, you are not straight! And I kind of wish that she queried the ace pin that Sunil had on his jacket a lot. Because she sees that quite early on. There's also some other Oseman references. I will get those later. But yeah, it was interesting to see someone struggle with sexuality, and it was something that I found was just naturally a part of me. Yeah. Zoe.
I felt really sorry for her, but at the same time, I got a bit annoyed with her at times because I just thought, I don't know, not that I felt like her annoying, but just like talk to Pip about it. I know it's easier said than done, but like I think just reading from an outside, you're just like, oh my gosh, tell Rooney how you feel, or tell Pip how you feel, and I was really annoyed when she was with Jason. I was like, just end it, what are you doing? This is so mean for both of them. But then at the same time, you've got to understand that, you know, she's trying to figure stuff out, which is totally fine. But yeah, I don't know, reading it from the outside was quite, I think just because it's the same with any kind of book when you are on the outside and you know what's happening with everyone's head because the reader's literally telling you, the writer is telling you. So it's hard because you're like, no, she's not with this person, and she's not with that person. She's not actually doing this. She's not trying to upset you. It's just what it is. But you can't tell them that because they're just characters on the page. So it gets kind of frustrating in that respect when you're like trying to root for them or to do it, or like trying to tell her to split up with Jason, or, you know, things like that. You can't do it. So it's quite frustrating, and you're like, you just want her to ask the question sooner because you know that like Sunil has the answers or whatever. So it's it's hard to read it and be like, come on, do this,
Yeah.
and trying to and watching her struggle with it all. And I think her friendship with Rooney is such a saving grace, and I think she should have given herself to that a bit sooner. And I think it's just because of who I am, but I found it kind of not annoying, but there was a bit at the beginning where it was all about Rooney was constantly helping her with everything, constantly talking about her, and I was just like, she's so clearly not okay. It's so obvious how not okay she is. I was like, ask her how she is. But again, it's all kind of part of it, isn't it? And I think that's explained later on, where her friends say to her, you were trying to figure out yourself, and that's how it is. So yeah, I think I found it kind of frustrating at times to watch them go through it, and you're like, oh, come on, this has got to be sorted soon. But yeah, I think it was quite interesting to watch, read, see. When I say watch, I refer to it playing out in my head. You know, it was quite interesting to see the whole story develop and the whole of the characters develop, and you get less frustrated as it goes on because you start seeing things clunk into place. And just her acceptance of her friendship and things like that, and how that's okay. And yeah, I thought it was a roller coaster of emotions for me as well. Because you're like, oh my gosh, just don't do this.
It's like that's Alice's books in jail. They're just like up and down like this all the time. Nori.
It's like seeing like the internalized homophobia. I was like, oh, I feel this too much. I feel this so much. It's like growing up as thinking I was straight and cisgender, just sort of going, one day I will marry a man and I will have children and I will do stuff and I will take care. It's like I will be a lady. It's like, no. It's like, no, you poor fool. But like something I saw in it, which like I wish our university, we all went to the same uni, spoilers, our university had like more talk about the other lesser known LGBT. Because I was like, at uni, I was like, I don't think I'm straight, but I don't quite want to go to this place that says, here are where all the not straight people are. It's like, but what if I am straight? And I go there and then it's like I'm lying. I don't want to lie to these nice gay people.
Yeah, because that is a legit thing that is discussed in the book as well. She's like, I don't want to go to Pride Sock because like I'm not gay, I'm not queer, and it's just like, whoops, you are.
Yeah, it's just sort of like there needs to be like more talk about this, because I think I had almost the same experience as Jess of literally seeing something on Facebook and going, oh, that's it. After having several series of not so good relationships, it was like, oh no, that's one of the, not the reason, one of the reasons maybe that the relationship didn't work out.
Awesome. Mariette, you're up.
Okay. I don't know how to answer this question at all. Like, I've just been thinking while you've all been talking, and obviously listening to what you've answered me.
You don't have to answer it if you don't want to.
Yeah, if you want to pass.
Yeah, I think I passed. Sorry.
No,
Don't
don't
apologise.
answer. It's fine. It's a tough topic, so if you feel you can't, just say.
I can't make the thoughts into sentences or even words. I don't know if anyone else has this, or my brain is different as most people will tell you anyway. But I can't get the
No,
words
I get that.
out.
As well.
It's
Yeah.
just
That's why I
a
write
mess
things
of
like
letters, more than even, it's not even words, it's just a mess of letters.
That's okay.
Mine comes up with memes.
It's alphabety spaghetti.
Yeah, pretty much.
Janet.
Sorry, could you remind me of the main points? Because I think when you were asking the question, it went a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So, how did you feel experiencing George's struggles from the outside if you're not asexual or aromantic?
So, yeah, I think if we kind of think of it chronologically, like from the beginning at the prom party or after prom or whatever it is, the leaving thing, I think that was quite an interesting way to start because I was expecting it to be like day one of university and like maybe a little bit of a back thing to when they're at school, and I kind of thought, oh, maybe like I don't really know. Maybe she's already thought about these things or whatever, but like I think she definitely suppressed it. So it's very interesting seeing how it kind of evolves. And even at the end, I mean, I might be wrong because I read this right at the start of July, so do correct me if this is not how it ends. But I feel like it's kind of left fairly openly. Like she's kind of come to terms with who she is, and she's starting to accept herself. As we've mentioned, there's like this internalized homophobia, and it takes her so long to kind of start figuring things out. And I think I kind of assumed that it might end with her being like, okay, yay, happy days, like, because this is a nice YA contemporary, all fun and daisies. But I liked how, I liked and it also irritated me how real it is because, like we've kind of mentioned, some of the choices Georgia makes are not the one. Maybe we'll go into this more later, but I could go into this all day. I kind of liked how at the end, before I ramble too much, it's still like, it's just showing that it's not a perfect journey for anyone. Like you, Jess, you said, you kind of be like, okay, yeah, that's who I am. Sure, in that sort of moment. And I mean, I don't know what it was like for you afterwards, and if there was any other feelings or whatever. But for you, from what you've said, it seemed very different to what Georgia experienced. So it was quite. I think it was, for however you identify, I think it was a really good way to show like, okay, it's not going to be a perfect journey. It's not just going to be like you'll wake up one day and be like, oh, here we are, I have arrived, this is me. But yeah, I think, what else do I think from an outsider's perspective? I don't know. I think, was it Zoe, I think, who said, yeah, I think she could have definitely asked those questions a lot sooner, like the pride badges and things like that. I think that's partly why I got a little bit irritated with her and the choices she made. She kept digging herself into a deeper hole. I was like, Georgia, babe, come on, like, let's not do that.
Yeah.
But in saying that, I really liked how, although it's maybe problematic in some ways, I liked how Rooney was really actually trying. Like, she came from a good intention, I think, even though her methods of helping Georgia maybe weren't perfect. I liked that she was like, okay, that didn't work, let's try something else, and she didn't really make a big deal, like, and none of her friends really made a big deal of it when she did come out to them and be like, oh, actually, this is who I am. I think one of my notes was something like, oh my god, just talk to Pip, or like just something to that extent anyway, because I kind of felt like out of all of her friends from, well, Sunil probably, but like, because she's known Pip for so long, Pip is the person to talk to about this, like, it just kind of made sense. And she didn't talk to her until like right at the end. So that was kind of annoying. But then I can also understand why they didn't talk for a long time. So it's like,
this is also a raging homosexual.
Just to add, as someone, not even like sexuality wise, as someone with extreme anxiety and extreme introversion, which Georgia has, I completely see why she didn't ask those questions. Like when you see the pin badges and she's like, oh, what's this one? At that point, she's terrified and she just doesn't really know what's going on in her own brain. So seeing these, like, all these badges, being her, be like, no, I can't ask those questions. I'm already struggling with enough in my brain. Getting more information isn't gonna go. As someone who still struggles to speak her mind when things are troubling her or when friends are being like not doing the right thing, might not necessarily doing the right thing, but doing something that makes me unhappy. I still struggle to say it because I just want to feel accepted by them. I don't want them to like look at me badly. So when she's there going, she's not talking to Pip about it and things like that, she just wants to still be there and feel those things. So when I read it, I didn't necessarily think, oh my god, why aren't you talking about it? It was more like, no, I get it. It's fine. Continue with this. I understand that you'll talk to her in your own time. So yeah, I don't think I felt the same level of anger towards her as other people did when in those kind of situations, because I completely saw where she was coming from. I was like, no, I would be the same. I hate myself for it, but that would be exactly the same.
Yeah, I think that's a good point though, because I think if I was in that situation, I'd be completely different. So I think it is important to remember, like, oh yeah, this is also a thing. I'm different to this character in this way, and keep that in mind.
Sexuality, man, it's an anxiety minefield. Anyway, we talked a bit about Rooney. Rooney is George's complete polar opposite in terms of sexuality. How did this juxtaposition feel for you? How did Rooney's character make you feel? Do you feel this benefited the story / their relationship? So, tell me about Rooney. What do you love about her? What do you find irritating about her? What do you despise about her, if anything? I love her. I love her so much. I love how crass and to the point she is. I think I loved her so much because I could kind of see Mariette and I kind of in there. Like the little introvert and the extrovert just going like, I take this introvert now. She is mine.
Or you going out for an evening doing something that you had initially invited me to, and me going, not going. And then you just coming back to me being in bed. But I'm done.
Yeah.
This is my day.
Literally. And also, how many nights did we like not spend sat watching YouTube together? Like you could probably count it on one hand. So for me, Rooney, the complete polar opposite, and I love that. I love to have that counterpoint to Georgia's struggles. And Rooney's not like she has her own struggles as well. She is not straight by any stretch of the imagination. And I like the fact that she hasn't totally worked it out by the end of it as well. She's just like, she doesn't know whether she's bi, whether she's pan, whether she's any other type of sexuality. She just knows she's not straight. She's also into girls. And I loved her character arc there. And I think we touched on it earlier, how Rooney's trying to help Georgia, but at the same time, no one's trying to help her. And when you really see that at the end, I thought that was actually quite sad. So there's the two individuals trying to work out their sexuality, and one of them is at the forefront, and the other is kind of just in the background, just coasting by, and on a very self-destructive downward spiral. And sis, I've been there. Not in the same way, but I've been there. And yeah, I loved her. I think that the extrovert-introvert relationship is one of my favorite tropes. I love it so much, because that literally is our friendship, me and Mariette. Yeah, who wants to go next? Nori,
go Janet.
Okay, I'll go. So, I think I messaged the group chat at the beginning when I first started reading it, being like, "Oh my god, is it really annoying, or is it just me?" But she grew on me. I think she was just like so in your face when you first meet her, and I was gonna say, can't remember, but I really liked her friendship with Georgia. Obviously, there is the part kind of later on, which maybe we'll talk on. But we're in the spoiler zone, so I guess it's fine. You know, when Rooney's like, well, hey, why don't you kiss me? Like, it's fine. We'll see what happens. And I was literally there like, I swear to God, Rooney, whatever her last name is, that's not a good idea. And also, Georgia, mate, Georgia's the one, I know we're not talking about Georgia right now, but she was like, this is what irritated me the most. Throughout the entire book, she's like, ooh, Pip really likes you, or ooh, Rooney, Pip likes you. Like, she can see it. But then she still goes and kisses Rooney just because she's like, oh, well, let's just see when she's drunk. And then I was just like, Pip's going to turn up, isn't she? And then she does. And I was like, this is just... Anyway, that was kind of literally my inner monologue as I was reading that scene. Anyway, so Rooney, even though she makes some interesting choices, I just liked how most of the time she's just really positive and she's really like outgoing, and she kind of doesn't care what other people think. And I just, it felt kind of like a breath of fresh air a little bit, because obviously you've got the 3 friends from school who are like this, and then there's Rooney who just kind of like barges her way into their friendship group, and she's like, I want to do Shakespeare, come on, like let's go. I just thought she was really funny, but also like in her own way she was very like caring, and like she genuinely did have George's interests at heart, you know. I've forgotten, I think most of the quotes that I highlighted, which I thought were just really funny. That's another thing. I love the humor in this book. I thought it was hilarious. But I think most of the things I highlighted were Rooney's quotes or like Rooney's interactions.
Same.
Oh yeah, this is not to do with the humor, but when she says, I think it's pretty amazing that you haven't felt peer pressured into doing anything by now. You haven't made yourself do anything you didn't want to do. You haven't kissed anyone just because you're scared of missing out. I think that's one of the most mature things I've ever heard, actually. I was like, hit the nail on the head. Thank you very much. Like, thanks for coming to my TED Talk kind of thing. Because I think it really can come across as being quite immature and, you know, a typical student going out and getting drunk and sleeping around or like whatever. But then, yeah, she's actually very aware of things going on as well, sometimes. But yeah, I really liked her. I just thought she was a great addition to the set of characters. So
She has that perfect balance almost of immature and mature.
Yeah.
In that she comes out with that sagely advice, but at the same time she's just like, let's get pissed.
Yeah.
Let's look around.
Yeah, she has her moments of wisdom. Yeah.
Nori.
I'll make mine quite quick, so it's everything fully. But
sorry.
So it took me like at first I didn't like Rooney because she reminded me of some people I knew at university who I'm not really friends with anymore. But sort of like the people I was like around just because I was in halls with them at uni. It's like, oh, it's these people. I don't like these people. Mainly because I was the complete opposite of basically all of those people. And I was like, okay, give this character a chance. They love Shakespeare. And Rooney did sort of like grow on me. I still sort of like, I don't agree with 90% of her actions, but that's because I wouldn't make those actions. It was just sort of like okay, I like this character. I like their energy. It's a lot, but I've warmed up to you. Feed your plant. Something's like, oh, please feed the plant. Please feed the plant. Poor Roderick. Please feed the plant.
Rod is the MVP.
Yeah. And just sort of like her attitude towards like going out and drinking, and I was like, I'm not fond of this. But then sort of as I got to know the character, it's like, okay, you have reasons for this, which everyone has reasons for doing stuff. It's just sort of like, okay, I'll have to warm up to you a little bit. But I did end up really quite liking her, and particularly her and Pip. And also the fact that she's like, I will have a Shakespeare Society, thank you very much. Which I'm like, I wish I did that.
Awesome. Mariette or Zoe, who wants to go next?
I'll be right back.
Okay.
I'm just adjusting my headset. You go, Mariette.
Yeah, like Jess said, parts of Rooney I saw in Jess and our relationship, in the fact that like, yeah, the reason that that Georgia went some places is because the Rooney made them. So I kind of saw that. But yeah, at the same time, I kind of agree. It's just like, especially at the beginning with all the drinking and not coming back and not really paying much attention to anything. I agree, got on my nerves just because I was like, you have to go to class. Why haven't you come back until 3 a.m. in the morning? Like, if I shared a room with someone who did that, I'd be so upset because I'm asleep so much earlier. So it was more. So I got annoyed at like that aspect of it, but she is definitely a good character to have in the book because, as you said, she supported Georgia no matter what. She just wanted to help Georgia and be friends with her. She didn't want to push things too far. She just wanted to be there and be friends with her. And I did like that fact about her. She just seemed like a cool character, especially at the end when you got to know her backstory and all of that kind of stuff. And the fact that she seemed to just take what she wanted. She didn't ask for any prisoners. I thought she didn't take any prisoners. She just was like, no, as she said, I want this Shakespeare Society. I want you to be my friend. I want this to happen. And she just made it all happen. And I thought that was quite incredible because I'm not sure I would be able to have the motivation that she does to do all of that.
Awesome. Rosa.
I loved her. I thought she was great. I think from just kind of my experience of uni, because I don't drink, I don't like going out. I'd much rather watch a film or read, like I'd stay in. And I had that a lot when my first year, like I was too anxious to go to sleep because I was nervous about my housemates rocking back up at 5 a.m, and it was horrible. I did sympathize with Georgia with that, but at the same time, I never felt like Rooney had that kind of impact on her. Like, it wasn't like she was scared for her coming back, or like it was always kind of worried. But I thought she was great. I think I sussed quite quickly that it was all a bit of a facade, and that this whole I'm so popular, the fact that they made such a thing of her being like, she made friends with everybody like this, was like, yeah, but it's not going to be real friendship, is it? It's going to be like she needs the validation from these people and her antics and such. I just thought this is all just going to end in tears. So I think from that respect, I was quite interested to hear what to read what the motivations were behind her actions, because it's like she's clearly covering or hiding something. As soon as they said about the picture of this mermaid hair Beth up on the wall and her kind of hesitation to discuss her, it was like she was clinging on to kind of a past life, which obviously, clearly she was. I just thought she was great. I loved her energy. I loved her love for Shakespeare. I loved her devotion to Georgia, and I loved watching their friendship grow. I thought she was just such a great character. She was kind of I suppose she's kind of she was the keystone to the friendship, wasn't she? She brought everyone together in a way that they were missing. So I just really enjoyed it. She was I personally found her quite likable. I mean, I can imagine she was probably quite a lot. Like for me, I'd be like, okay, you need to calm down. But that's just because of who I am. Like, I'm an introverted person that likes to sit and read. I don't like going out and stuff. So, yeah, for me, but then I just thought, the more she settled down, as soon as they pushed the beds together, I was like, here we go. This friendship is going. Yeah. And I think just as Rudy as a character, I just really liked her, and the whole house plant was quite beautiful in a way as well. And
Roderick.
And I liked the fact that Beth was kind of a constant thing, but you never learn anything about her. Even like at the end, when you finally hear about her, she's not even that big of a deal. She's just kind of a catalyst to oh my god, Georgia and Rooney's friendship, because she's what brings them together eventually, in that kind of in a deeper connection. And I quite liked that it was always Georgia that noticed that the picture was on the floor, and always noticed that, and then she stuck it back up. Like, she was trying to keep, and in fact she kept calling her mermaid hair. Like, mermaids are technically mythological, so whether that was a symbolic impression of Beth and the fact that this relationship or friendship was mythological because she wasn't actually part of Rooney's life anymore. And maybe that was kind of Georgia coming into it. I just thought she was great. I really liked how she brought everyone together. I liked her kind of her sass when Pip asked her to get her a coffee, and she said, I'd literally rather stamp on a nail. And then she brought her a coffee back anyway. And I was just like, you're such a good person. And I was like, I just felt so sorry for her, because she was throwing herself out until 5, 6 in the morning with all these random guys. I was like, you so don't want to be doing that. Yeah. And I just wish that she would latch to Georgia. And I think that was, it took a while, but it got there. And I thought her development of a character, I actually really enjoyed.
Yeah.
I just because I thought she was,
oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just thought she was really good. I really liked her.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I want to touch on the ex-boyfriend storyline, because I will just say, every single book that she writes is interconnected. It's all the same universe, all the same town, and the same 2 schools. You've got Truham and Higgs Grammar School. And the only reason that this started going off in my head is because he's an abusive boyfriend. And I'm just sat here like, no, it's 2020. Heartstopper set in 2010. It would not be the same abusive asshole. But the fact that everything is interconnected, I just couldn't help but imagine that either it was Ben again, Ben Hope, Heartstopper, Solitaire. He's an absolute jackass and we hate him. But this is just me spotting connections where there probably isn't any. But I just wanted to kind of touch on the abusive boyfriend and how Alice writes abuse as well, in that I think she writes it really, really well, the psychological abuse. That it's kind of not really discussed in too much detail in this. It's kind of left a little bit open for people to interpret, but I just want to get your guys' opinion on it, because I think the way she handled it was really, really well, really, really good. In that she did leave some of it up to the imagination, but she did also just say, yes, it was emotional manipulation and things like that. So what are your thoughts on that?
I'm just going to my notes.
It's a tough topic to try and cover. It's not an easy thing.
TBH, I can't really remember
No.
that part of the book.
It's not very long, but it's quite powerful.
Yeah, it's basically when Rooney's at her lowest, she confides in Georgia the fact that she switched schools and she lost contact with this girl, Beth, because she wanted to be with her boyfriend when he went into sixth form. So he switched schools to go to sixth form. I can't remember whether he went from Truham to Higgs or vice versa, but she switched to go with him.
I remember now.
Yeah, it's the fact that she did it all for love, and there wasn't any love there in the beginning. So her relationship was loveless. Ideas, thoughts.
Just be alright. I need some sauce for my wrap.
Okay.
Chips.
Having never really been in a situation like that, I did think it was quite powerful the way it was written, definitely. I'm just trying to like remember that part now because you said it was a smallish section in it, which I think kind of lends to how powerful it was. The fact that it wasn't discussed that long, that Rooney couldn't discuss it that long, and she didn't want to go into detail, was like, I'll give you the highlights. If I go any further, it's not going to go well for me. So I liked the fact that you kind of felt how much impact it had on her just through her saying a little thing about it instead of a lot about it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
I think as well, having it in the book was quite an important thing because, again, it is an important topic to discuss, especially in a YA. You know, if you're like your audience is like 16, 17, 18, even university level students who are probably starting to think like about getting into relationships, possibly. You know, like I remember when I was at school, I always said, yeah, I'm not interested in that. There's no one at school that I like, but it was also, I felt there was a lot of pressure on that. So I purposely tried to avoid it because...
Well, we lost you there, Janet.
Oh, hi.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, so I think it's an important thing to have because I think it's easy to get so caught up in the moment when you're in your first relationship or even second or any relationship, to be honest. But it's an important thing to talk about, even if it's very brief, because you don't, if it is a manipulative relationship or if it's abusive in any way, it's always easier to see it from the outside rather than when you're in it. And it's so easy to miss the red flags. Speaking from experience, well. Anyway.
Turning into a confessional.
Yeah. But yes, I think it was, obviously, the whole book itself is more about Georgia than Rooney. So I think it was, obviously it didn't need to go into too much detail, but having it there anyway, I think was a good sort of reminder to people to be like, if you're not happy, then why stick around in that bad space, you know? But yeah, that's my thoughts on that.
Any other thoughts on that, or do we want to go to the next question?
I think my only thought on it is that she's quite brave, as in Alice Oseman, in the fact that she touches on so much in this book. And I think the manipulative relationship that Rooney had, this awful relationship that kind of stole her of everything she had and everything she loved, I think it's quite, I'm sorry, my clock is dinging again. I think it's quite important that she brings it up, not necessarily just as a as an awareness thing, which it still is, which is great, but it's such a huge juxtaposition for her relationship with everyone else, because it kind of, like you say, Jess, she's loveless. She feels like she's not worthy of deep, meaningful love connections, not necessarily romantic, and that's what is beautiful about this, is the fact that it's not actually really, and none of it's really about romantic relationships. It's about friendship, and that's what's so wonderful, because friendship is such a core thing in everyone's lives. And I think her manipulative relationship with her boyfriend stole her of everything, as I said, and I think her building that bridge again with oh my gosh, I've just thought about at the end when she runs across the bridge to Georgia. Oh my gosh, she's built her bridge. Oh, it's so symbolic. I just think it's touched on so slightly to kind of raise and tug at the heartstrings and be like, wow, this is an awful thing for anyone to have to go to, whether you like them or whether you don't, and for her to suddenly come out with something like that and so comfortably in such a safe space. They talk about their beds quite a lot and how they're always in them, and then they bring them together because they're bringing themselves together and they're feeling safe. And then she says later, I feel at home with you. It's a very interesting way of showing the vulnerabilities of the characters, because they just throw wham, this horrendous, awful, abusive thing happened to you and you've got to deal with it. And you've got to deal with her being damaged by that. And they do. Again, it's all just about acceptance. It's like, we don't love you any less because you were hated and treated so badly. It's not your fault.
Yeah.
So I think it's interesting. It's a way of paralleling the two, having I don't know if that's a word, paralleling? Parallel?
I think so.
Oh, we'll make it a word. Coinage. They're putting the horrors with the good, and I think that's so nice, because it's comforting to, if anyone has been in that position of an abusive relationship, to see it written down on paper and like acknowledging it as an awful thing, but not making it the sole thing of that person. That's quite nice. So I think it's handled really, really well. It doesn't define them, which is beautiful to read. Okay, I'm done.
Paralleling is a word, by the way.
It is?
At the same time as something else.
Oh, okay, cool. Thanks.
Mariette, do you have anything you'd like to say, or do you want me to go on to the next question?
Next question is fine.
Okie I've literally done what Zoe did when we did Stoner, which is Lloyd. Discuss.
That's his name.
Lloyd.
Okay.
What a clop hole.
Oh, he is a clop hole. So Lloyd, he is a cis-het gay man at university, the previous president of the Pride Society. And
Well, not het.
Yeah, he's not cis. Yeah, he's cis homo.
Cis white.
He is a cis white gay man, and therefore he's a bit of a gatekeeping gay. And we do not stand for gatekeeping in this community, in any community. So he comes out with arguments against made-up internet identities. Thoughts and feelings. I have a whole quote from Sunil when he basically just lays into Lloyd, and I was just there like, yes, you like go for it. I'll read it out. So it's on page 193, and it says, "You know what, Lloyd? Yes, I am, because Pride Sock is is inclusive and open and loving, and not run by you anymore. And because there are still sad little cis gays like you who seem to take other queers' mere existence as a threat to your civil rights, even freshers who are showing up here for the first time, some of them like never having been to a queer event in their whole lives, just try to find somewhere they can relax and be themselves. And I don't know if you're aware of this, Lloyd, because I know you don't recognize any pride flag that isn't the fucking rainbow, but I actually happen to be one of these. And guess what? I'm president, so get the fuck out of my form more." I was just like, yes, babe. Yes, you lay into that motherfucker and you just tear him apart, tear him a new one. And I was so proud of Sunil, and I think it comes back to the fact of like people speak of asexuality being a made up thing, but it's existed since like the 1700s. Correct me if I'm wrong, queer historians. It's existed for centuries, this idea of asexuality. So yes, discuss. I am also going to take a pee break, so I'll be back in a minute.
He wants to go first.
I just thought he was an idiot.
Oh yeah. It's like
Yeah.
remind me a little bit of
Second that.
like, even though I love Drag Race, you guys know I love Drag Race, the problematic elements that RuPaul has, there was a little bit, like, it reminded me a bit of that.
Mhm.
It's like just let everyone do the things.
Yeah.
And also, I love that Sunil does, like, oh, it's not just going to bars and clubs. I'm like, oh, thank goodness, I wish this was something I had.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I really
same.
struggled at uni with that. Everything was
all
going out
of
and
the-
getting drunk.
All of the
I want a
societies are
gay
like
coffee
that.
shop, please.
Mm.
But with a good hot chocolate, because I'm allergic to coffee, please and thank you. Which
Mariette?
is ironic, because I'm now a barista.
Yeah, no, I agree with what you've said. He's not a good character at all. I hate the fact that there are so many people like him in the world that make it hard for anyone to question that they could be anything other than straight or gay.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I
I
think-
don't really have much more to say about him apart from I
Yeah.
wish people like him didn't exist in the real world, and I hate the fact that she had to add him to make it the real world.
I
Ooh,
remember
yeah.
seeing something on, I don't know where, last year, maybe the year before, and it was kind of along the lines of it's easier to not put in the work to understand other people, you know, in terms of like their sexuality or their identity or whatever. It's easier just to stick with what you know because it means you don't have to grow, like your mind, I guess mentally you don't have to, whatever, like be open-minded. It's easier to be like closed-minded than not or something to that extent, and I think he's an example of that. He doesn't want to bother like being inclusive because it's harder than taking the time to listen to somebody and listen to their experiences. He's just like, oh well, this is about one thing, it's not all the other stuff that you see online, like that's all fake, whatever. Like he's an example of, I'm not willing to put in the effort, so I'm not going to. He's just very like, nah. I think he needs to read Loveless. I think that would
Also, I believe that Lloyd was definitely using his position as Pride Sock president as a sort of hookup type opportunity magnet. So, oh yeah, I'm the president of Pride Sock. Hello, fellow gay man. That's flirting, correct?
I imagine so. I wouldn't really know though. I'm not very good at it.
I was going to say 3 out of 5 of us are asexual here, so we wouldn't know.
I have so many stories of people walking away from someone and someone going, you know, they were trying to flirt and impress you, and we go, not a clue. Let's continue on with our lives now.
I had that exact thing at uni.
So the general
Yeah,
consensus. Catch me up on the general consensus.
He's a butt.
He's
Yeah,
a bad
I
guy.
guess
He's bad man, and it's annoying that people like him exist in the real world, so she had to include him in the book.
Very well summed up there by Mariette.
On that topic, let's discuss diversity in this book because there is so much. You've got Jason, who turns out, well, we don't actually know what his sexuality is. We assume he is cis-het, but we don't know. That teddy bear jacket throws me for a loop. I really thought that he was going to be a queer, but we don't know. You've got Georgia, who's ace and aromantic. Sunil, who is asexual and biromantic, or is he homoromantic? He's gay. Yeah,
gay romantic.
Jess is biromantic. Jess is biromantic.
Yeah. Jess is aromantic bisexual. Pip is a lesbian. Rooney is like pan or whatever. She hasn't decided. And also there's the racial diversity as well in this book. So you've got Sunil, who is a British Indian, and he is asexual, and it's not really seen as a thing in his culture, in his family sort of thing. So I just want to talk about diversity in general. So I love the fact that Sunil is of Indian descent, and he's also struggled with his sexuality and things like that. There are these expectations placed on him. Also, Pip is Latin American, so there's all this sort of emphasis placed on her, but her parents don't seem to care. Like, they're just like, yeah, no, it's fine. Love who you love.
They keep
And
calling you at one point, and they're like, "Oh, is that your new girlfriend?"
yeah, I loved
She's
it.
Latin as well, isn't she? She Latin Latin American?
Yeah.
So she's
Yeah,
another one.
I can't remember which country, but that's where her family are from. So she,
Is it Colombia?
I want to say Colombia, yeah. Zoe. So yeah, there's the racial diversity and the sexuality and gender diversity as well. Other thoughts? Anyone have any other thoughts on that?
I think if there was, sorry, I was going to say if there was
Okay.
some kind of like spin-off or whatever about, you know, specifically about the other characters who are not white, I think it'd be really interesting kind of seeing that side of things, like more in detail about like them coming to terms with who they are, plus if there's any sort of religious thing, you know, alongside their culture and stuff like that, just as, because I don't know what that would be like, so I would just be interested in finding out more, basically. But
yeah. Mariette.
I was just gonna say it's cool that she managed to include so much, and that it didn't. She didn't need to feel the need to explain every single background in the story. It was just like, they're this person. Let's continue on with the main plot. I just like that element of it. The fact that it was just normal. It wasn't, look, I've included this many people. It was just normal. That's
No
all I
one
have.
was a token character.
Exactly, that's what I meant. Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Yeah, I like that. She does that a lot, actually. In Heartstopper, for example, well, Charlie's Spanish, English. Can't remember. I think Julio's Spanish. Yeah, Spanish. You've got Tara, who's black. You've got Tao, who is Chinese. You've got Elle, who is Egyptian. So that's four main characters already. I'm sure there are in Solitaire as well. Radio Silence, Frances, the main character, she's half Jamaican, half British. So there's that. In I Was Born for This, Angel, I think, is Muslim. So there's that. Rowan is black, one of the main characters as well. So I think there's trans rep as well in that. So there's just rep throughout the whole of her books, and I think it's wonderful, because especially with Loveless, you see so much diversity when you go to university. So for me, coming from Blackford, which is a very, very white town, the only people who are not white are the Nepalese population here. And the main reason we have such a big Nepalese population is because we're an army town. So we have the Gurkha Regiment. That's the only diversity that I'd ever experienced before I went to university. And suddenly there were so many queer people, there were so many Latin American people, there were so many African Caribbean people. There was just so much diversity, and it was wonderful. So yeah.
Yeah.
I just like the fact that it was, like, I think, like Mariette said, there was no token character. Like, well, you and Jess and Mariette. Like, there was no token character. Everyone was just everyone. Like, that was just it.
And
that
they're
was
all
just
there for a
like
reason as well, you know. They added to the story in a meaningful way.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I sort of noticed. It's possibly because I'm the only day in the village, but been wanting to squeeze that one in for a while. But Sunil is also sort of gender fluid. He uses he, they. But a lot of the pronouns when I was reading was he, and I went, wait, I thought he was non-binary, so I had to go back. So no, it's he, they. I'm like, okay, I wish they threw a few more theys in there.
Yeah,
because it was a lot of he. It's like, throw some more theys in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. On that topic, I'm going to come back to my next question because it doesn't kind of lead in. But sexuality in university, discuss. The first sub question of that I've got is the freedom to explore new identities, experiment, and truly work out who you are. How did that kind of like resonate with you guys? Because for me, it kind of comes back to another point that I've got here, the depiction of Pride Sock compared to our own experiences, if we feel comfortable discussing it. For me, Pride Sock at our university I didn't feel as welcome as I think I would have felt if Sunil was leading it. And I think that's why it took me so long to come to terms with, oh, I'm not straight. That and the fact that I was in a heteronormative relationship for all of my BA and didn't really think that there was anything other than the LGBT side of things. So how did this depiction of being free to explore new identities and experiment and truly work out who you are, how did that compare to your experiences, I suppose is the question.
I don't think it really did for me. Like, I just kind of, I don't think, I didn't, I don't really have much of an answer to that question. So pass B.
That's fair.
I was going to say similar, to be honest, because during university I was an anxious, introverted little ball, and not much has changed from that, to be honest. So exploring societies and exploring things like that just didn't really happen because I chose to hide in the flat or in the house, in my room, quite often laying in my bed. So you don't really explore things when you choose to stay in your bed for 20 hours out of the day.
Yeah.
So I couldn't, like Zoe, I don't really have an answer.
I guess I met more people of different sexualities. So that was kind of my only,
Yeah.
Next.
Yeah, I think for me, like I've spoken about this a lot. Like I was very ready to go to university. I was kind of sick of school, and I kind of, it's not that I wanted to reinvent myself, but I kind of felt like I almost lost who I actually was by the time I finished my A-levels and stuff. I just, like, within the first few months at uni, I was like, oh my God, like, thank God. Like, Winchester isn't that big of a place, but still it's just enough of a change. And I mean, although I can't really say in terms of like sexuality and whatever, because like it's great. Well,
the straight.
I still felt like I could still be me in a way, in more of a way that I was like at school. I think I kind of mentioned earlier when I was at school, I felt like everyone knew me as just kind of floating somewhere around the middle. I wasn't that important, like whatever. Like no one really cared about me that much, and I didn't want to bring that much attention to me. Because I don't know, I just didn't want other people like asking questions like, oh, why are you wearing that? Why are you doing, I don't know, whatever. But then when I was at university, I was like, oh my God, there's so many people who actually cares. Like, it doesn't matter if, like, I make a fool of myself because no one knew me beforehand. So, like, that's great. But yeah, like I say, that's just from a straight person's perspective. So in terms of sexuality, I can't really comment. But
yeah.
Nori.
Yeah, so let me tell you the tale of a young Nori.
I feel like we need background music for this.
Oh yeah, it's like for me, it's like it took me a long time to work out who I was, because like I was really badly bullied in school. So then I was educated, and then when I went to college, I tried to like build a personality for myself because I didn't know what to do. It's like, I like this. And people were like, okay, take 5 steps back, weirdo. It's like, you will not offend me in my pen necklace. How dare you? I did have a necklace made of pens.
That is awesome.
I was trying to make friends. It's like, people will come up to me and ask me for a pen. I'll go, yes, here you go. You must bring it back. They always did, but then they didn't want to talk afterwards. Like, I remember first day of college, sort of going, I need to make friends. Mother has told me I need to make friends. So I saw someone with a cool bag. I went, when we stop, I'll tell them I like their bag. But then when we stopped, I could not see their bag from where I was standing. But their friend next to them had a cool folder. So it's like, okay, just tell them I like their folder. And that's how Nori tried to make friends in college. Then at uni, it was also like a whole new set of things, because you're on your own, even though my parents lived like 50 minutes away in like the south coast of England. It wasn't like too far. I could literally hop on a train back to my hometown if I needed to. It was sort of like trying to get to grips with that. And also I remember the Pride Society at uni not feeling the most welcoming of places.
Same.
Like I remember it was very much like, you can come to the Pride Society if you 100% know that you're one of these sexualities or gender identities. I'm like, but I don't know. And I remember seeing on one of the people's Facebook pages who was very involved in the Pride Society was sort of like, if you can't come with us for the riot, you can't join the party. It's like, I'm not a rioting person. I just want to know what's going on. Like, I wish there was like a place for like adults. Because I can't just walk into a university now. I'm 25 years old. Everyone in university now is literally children. Like, thinking about 18-year-olds is like, what the?
Yeah. I think the thing with the Pride Sock at our uni is that it wasn't necessarily gatekeeping like you see with Lloyd in Loveless. It was more that it was just focused on the L, the G, the B, and the T. There wasn't anything like questioning intersex, asexuality, plus. There was nothing really talked about. Pansexuality was about the only thing that you really heard about through the Pride Society as being outside of those main four. It was almost like it was just LGBT, not QIA+. And I think that's probably why it took me so long to realize, oh, no, this is actually a thing that is real and this is how I feel. Poet didn't know it. So I think university is like definitely nowadays, I think Pride societies are a lot more aware of the ban and the umbrella term that is sexuality, because it's a spectrum. And they are children. Kids going to now will have a lot, I think, hope they have a better experience of like Pride and LGBTQIA plus societies than we did. But that's just personal experience. It did feel a bit gatekeepy, but yeah. And
I'm going to say I'm going to have to leave in a minute, just FYI. So just throwing that out there now.
Okay.
Carry on.
Okay. Yeah, carry on, Mariette.
I was also just going to say on that point, like, they are children, yes, in university now. I mean, like, even my sister, who's 4 years younger than me, is out of uni, and that's a really scary thought. But, like, I think in general, because of the more understanding that they've got now, because in the few years that we've all been out of university, like, so much has changed within the LGBT community to make it less gatekeepy all round. So, like, my sister, when she was in comprehensive school, she and her friends started up, and I think they called it the Umbrella Society, to help anyone who was questioning or like felt they were being left out because of their sexuality and things like that. So I think just like now, because we still live, like, we at our age, we still have we still had like a good time at uni, don't get me wrong, there's still loads of inclusivity and things like that. I just think that with the more that's known on the internet and things like that, just means that it allows these actual societies to be less gatekeepy. Even in the 3 or 4 years that we've been out of university, there's so much has changed.
Okay, I have 2 final questions. One of them is about the importance of good friendships, but that one could be quite long, so I'm going to skip to my other one so Zoe can answer it as well, which is, are there any relationships, any ships that you wanted to happen that didn't work out or happen at all? Did you like the final pairing or lack thereof? I will go first because I really, really thought Jason and Sunil were going to hook up.
Oh, 100%. Like, I need that. Like, especially
really,
when Sunil was wearing the Velma costume.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on.
Literally, I've got a comment. I think it's on page 271 or something. Where is it? Loveless notes. 261. Jason's gone back to castle. Has he gone alone? Is there a certain ace beam going with him, I wonder? I really thought that Jason was going to come out as being queer of some kind and that he and Sunil were going to hit it off. And I'm really disappointed at the lack of relationship that happened there. But also I love Pip and Rooney. I love them so much because they are both firecrackers and they bounce off each other. But that's my opinion. Zoe?
Any relationships I wish happened? Not really. I knew that Pip and Rooney were going to get together right from the start.
It's so obvious.
So obvious.
The moment that
I
Pip's
didn't
like,
think
someone has a whole fun with them. What?
I didn't really see Sunil and Jason. I just quite liked their friendship. No, there wasn't really anything that anyone that I was annoyed didn't get together, or anyone that I really liked, even though I wasn't too bothered about Sunil and Jason getting together, but I was really happy that Sunil felt comfortable enough to kind of become one of them and like move in with them at the end and everything. I thought it was really, really nice. I kind of, I was also loved when Georgia, just a side note, when she poured the drink down Lloyd's bag. That was brilliant. No, for me, there wasn't anyone that I think everything happened quite organically, and I was quite happy that the friendships kind of just came as they did, and there wasn't anyone that made me, I wasn't sad that anyone didn't like it, and there wasn't, didn't get together, and there wasn't anyone that I thought didn't kind of happen. I also think if you guys carry on the discussion after I go, I just think Alice should be mentioned, because she was and her relationship with her parents was quite an interesting tangent. Which I thought was quite interesting. So no, on that front, I wasn't too bothered about relationships. I am going to have to go though, so I will leave you with that point. And also, if you carry on, so Alice, I think you should discuss and her parents, and also the fact that Georgia's last name was War, and how interesting it was that she's at war with herself.
Ooh.
Was that a point in question? Was that why she was Georgia War? Because she was at war with Georgia? Probably not, but there we go.
Well, thank you for joining, my love. We'll see you soon.
All right, I will see you soon. I'm going for dinner. It's not that exciting.
Okay.
Ooh, dinner. Enjoy the food.
Thanks. I'll see you guys later. Bye.
So, Nori, any relationships you wanted to happen that didn't?
I'm not sure. You saying Sunil and Jason, I'm like, oh yes, because also Jason does mention that he doesn't think sex is like necessary for a relationship, so he might be on the grey ace demi asexual spectrum somewhere, which he doesn't realize yet. But like him and Sunil is like, I just love their like friendship. I sort of like, I don't think anyone else there was any sort of like relationships I sort of like wanted to see, except for obviously Pip and Rooney, which was like, it's like them discussing. It's like, oh, when you think about the sexy times, do you think about a lady, or do you think about a man, or do you think about everyone? She's like, well, for me, gender doesn't matter. It's like, just kiss each other's faces and stop being so drunk.
Noriism. Janet, Mariette, any ideas?
The same as everyone else, to be honest. I think if anything, like, Jason just seems like the sweetest human being ever, and I was just like, it would be nice if he ended up with someone, but I don't really care who. Obviously, I figured George was probably not the best choice, but but I was happy with how it all worked out. So, and it was nice that it wasn't, I think in some, romance or books that have romance as a big theme, it's quite easy to see everyone pairing off in couples, but it was nice that this one didn't have that. So
compared to say Heartstopper, where there's 3 main couples that the main 7 all pair off except little Alid in the middle.
Like,
woo, Alid!
Yeah.
And then you read Radio Silence, it's like, oh my gosh, dang it.
Mariette.
There's someone over here, man.
I didn't really, I wasn't expecting Jason and Seville to end up together, but I enjoyed their friendship. I thought it was a nice friendship. I agree with Janet it would have been nice. Jason deserves to be happy, so whoever he ends up being happy with, that would have been nice to maybe meet whoever they were, but that's not an issue. It doesn't really matter as long as he's happy, because he's a good egg. They're all good eggs. As long as they're all happy, I don't care if they're in relationships or not. As long as they're happy, that's my part on that.
Well, that leads me very nicely on to the final question, which is Pip, Jason, and Sunil discuss the importance of good friendships, and I've got they're messy, but they're for life. Thoughts on just that that statement, because I think the way Alice writes friendships is they are exceptionally messy, and there's all this
conflict that goes on and
Drama.
so much drama. If you ever read any of her other books, there is always friendship drama. So there's friendship drama between Francis and Alid in Radio Silence, between Tori and her friends, and even between Nick and Charlie, there is so much drama.
Oh yeah, I just read the Nick and Charlie novella. There's so much drama.
It broke my heart. But I think there isn't a friendship that doesn't exist without drama.
Oh my god, yeah.
So what's your thought about how she writes relationships that always have drama, and how realistic she makes it? Like, what does that mean for you guys?
I personally prefer friendships with as little drama as possible. So like the amount of drama she puts within the friendship groups of her, like I'm just like, when that much drama happens, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna stand back from this now because it just makes me uncomfortable. Like, I've lived with my current housemates who I've known forever. There's very, very little drama between us. We've not had like a huge blow up or fight. No one's been mad at each other in the entire time we've lived together. And I understand. I just find drama. That was something that kind of annoyed me about this book. Like, I think Joey and Janet said earlier, was just like, talk to one another. Just talk to one another, because that would have solved so much of the drama. Because I'm not a big fan of drama. I just want it to go away when it rears its head. So that's my opinion on that. As long as they're all happy, I just wish there was less drama.
I mean, all of us within the book club, we've all not had drama with each other, but we've all had spats, like a couple of crosswords here and there between all of us, I think. I've definitely had crosswords with everybody in the group at one point or another. But it doesn't impact the friendship negatively. If anything, it makes it stronger, because we all know that we can say stuff to each other and it won't be taken personally. It will be, like, for instance, when Zoe and I were in Krakow and we'd just been to Auschwitz and we were struggling to find a place for lunch, and I just snapped at her and said, pick somewhere to eat. And she was just like, okay. And then as soon as we sat down, I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm depressed right now because we've just been around Auschwitz. And I think even before that, our friendship we were like that, basically. And get your mind out the gutter. But we were like that. We were really, really close. And like after that, I think we got even closer. And now we're off to like Edinburgh with Mariette as well. We're off to Edinburgh, and I just think that sort of thing makes friendship stronger, if anything. But yeah, I totally get what you mean, Mariette, about the drama and wanting to run as far away from it as possible. Janet,
there's a difference between snapping at someone. That's not drama. That's just communication.
Yeah.
Drama is when you don't talk to each other. Like if you had teased all day because Zoe wouldn't find somewhere to have lunch, that would have became drama. Snapping at them isn't drama. That's just part of life.
Yeah, exactly.
One thing that must be remembered about the characters in this book is they have just started university, straight from sixth form. So they are fresh little baby 18-year-olds who have no clue what's going on in life. So, like, I remember at that age, every little issue sometimes was the end of the world. Also because I had anxiety and depression. Woo! But, like, it's like it could all be fixed with like better communication between them. Also, it said that like at least Jason, Pip, and Georgia have not had any big fights between them, so they have no roadmap of how to deal with this drama. And also, it's a new thing that's appeared to Georgia that's like, I don't even know how to explain what I'm feeling and seeing right now. It's like if a giant mythical monster from a fifth dimension just appeared in my bedroom right now and I had to try and explain it to you guys. Like, it would be really impossible. But also, like, I remember having, like, my housemates in second year. Oh my goodness. The amount of random ass drama I was caught in the middle of. It was always between one of my housemates and then the other two housemates who sort of like, after we all decided to get a house together, two of them became a couple. And that caused a lot of issues because they were also living at the house for like several months before we got there and sort of settled ourselves in after summer. So they were like, this is how we do it. This is how we like it. It's like, yeah, but now you have 2 other human beings here.
Yeah.
And I was always the one going, it's like, well, if everyone's getting mad about who's doing the washing up, and they say they have to do the washing up because they both apparently have OCD, but they're not doing the washing up, and this person's not doing the washing up because they refuse to wash up anyone else's dishes, I'll just do the washing up while I'm here. And I kept being told, don't do the washing up. It's like, but I need a plate. I need a plate.
Yeah.
But I was like always caught like in the middle. I was sort of like, I was the Sunil of the situation. Just sort of like, I'm friends with you guys and I'm friends with you guys. Please stop yelling at each other.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Even if the yelling is just glaring.
Janet.
When I think about it, when I was at university, like I wasn't really in that much drama. I wouldn't call it drama, anything that I was involved with. There were some things after university which I would definitely call drama, but I'm not going to go into that here with certain people. But
I
yeah,
will need all to you later on.
Yeah, this is something for not on a live stream, but anyway. What was I going to say? Yeah, like with housemates, I think I always thought I was pretty good with communicating with people. I really hate confrontation. So like, if anything, I will probably, if I really want to talk to someone, but I don't know how to address it face to face, I always say to people, just send them a message being like, hi, can we talk about this thing? Just because I need to talk to you about it. So then if you sent the message out, there's no miscommunication, there's no beating around the bush, you kind of just get to the point. That's my method of doing it because I don't like talking to people to their face when there's a problem. But I remember when I was in my 3rd year especially, there was like quite a lot of drama in my house. I mean, it wasn't that bad, but you know, we never had full-on arguments. The biggest argument I think we had as a house was over the recycling and who was going to take it to Sainsbury's and get rid of it all. But it was because I had a car and I felt like everyone was waiting for me to take all of it. And I was like, well, I don't want to take it just because I've got a car, because that's not fair. Like, I don't want to take it every single day or week or whatever. So I just kind of left it for someone else to do because I'd done it, you know, I'd done my part so someone else can do their bit sort of thing. But I wasn't saying that to anyone. So now I'm looking back and I'm like, oh, I hate miscommunication in like books, but I've done it. Like I've been there. But also my first year, well, I don't think I was really involved in any drama in my first year in my halls, considering there was like 9 or 10 people in my flat, like on my floor. There was a lot of drama and no, so hang on, let me get back to where I was thinking. I've lost my train of thought now, something about arguments and stuff. Yeah, I think it's just very natural, you know, when you're 18, 19, you think the whole world revolves around you, and you can never be in the wrong.
Wait, it doesn't?
So, yeah, I know, tell me about it. I was shocked too. But I think what was interesting in this was how the fact that they're all friends from school. I mean, I think it says at the beginning they weren't planning on all ending up at Durham. I think George is the only one who wants to go to Durham, and the other 2 got rejected from other places. Like Oxford. But yeah, so I kind of was like, okay, so 3 friends going to university together from the same school, they've known each other for years. Like, it's just going to, it's asking for trouble. So I could kind of already see that it was going to build up to something, basically. I remember in my first year, like actually reading this, it kind of reminded me, I'd kind of forgotten about it. I'd met someone, I can't even remember the name, it was like someone within the first month of university and stuff. And she was in the same position. She'd come to university with like 3 or 4 friends from her school. Like they'd all known each other from the same town or something. And I mean, I didn't really hang out with them much, but like, yeah, I went and hung out with them one time. And it was interesting for me as like an outsider kind of seeing their like how they vibe and whatever. And I just felt really awkward because I didn't know any of them. I just knew the one girl who was on my course. So then now thinking about Rooney, who just kind of barges in and she's like, hi everyone, I'm your friend now. I was like, I could not do that when I was 18, so hats off to her. But yeah, I don't know.
So
it's a good thing. Oh.
Using the relationships as like a springboard, can we just, for the final topic, look at Alice and her parents and her relationship with her parents? And she's not in the book for very long. She's in the book for like 2 chapters.
Yeah.
That's about it. But
she is someone who's a lot further down the road in terms of her journey to self-discovery and accepting her sexuality. She doesn't have the words for it. She doesn't know the term asexual, aromantic, but she's known for a long time that's what she is. And I just kind of want to touch on how George's aunt and uncle are putting so much pressure on Alice to be successful in terms of being a woman, and the expectations placed on that of having to have kids, having a family. You'll be less than if you don't have a romantic partner. And the fact that she is an exceptionally successful artist, but her parents still don't see that as enough because she's not got a ring on her finger.
Yeah.
Mum's just walked past me and said, "That's ridiculous."
So I remember the bit where Georgia and her are talking, and she just tells Georgia, "Oh, I just sold a painting for X amount," and Georgia's like, "What the dang hell? That's a lot of money."
I'm just getting distracted by my mum, who's literally there like, "Oh!" and all this.
Like,
we stan a supportive mother.
And sort of like the personally for me, like Alice's parents are like, "Oh, that's what the inside of my brain sounded like for many years. Hooray!"
It's like, you'll find the right person.
But yeah, it was just the fact like she's not just successful, she is dang successful. It's like, how she can literally sell 2 paintings and buy you a house. Start respecting your child.
Yeah.
It's like there's something I remember seeing on some sort of Facebook or Reddit or somewhere. It's like, you do not have children to have grandchildren. You have children to have children.
I found it strange how like they weren't even in their own house. Like they were in someone else's house. Like how comfortable must they be in saying these things to their daughter when they were doing it in someone else's house, when there were lots of other family members around that could literally
like
just
Christmas,
appear.
Yeah. I thought I think her storyline is important, but I have kind of conflicting views a little bit because she's in the book so little. Like you only see her in like 2 chapters. She's not mentioned at any point beforehand, and she's not really mentioned all that much after, if at all. I can't really remember. So as much as I liked that part, part of me was thinking I wanted more. I just wanted to see her a little bit more. Like maybe at the end, like maybe she has a phone call, or like just bring her back.
Or like she comes to see the show.
Yeah, she could have come to see the show. I kind of felt like, well, if she's only there for 2 chapters, she may as well have not been there at all in a way. Like, I mean, I don't think she shouldn't have been in the book. I think it was a very good section, and I quite enjoyed their interaction in that she has another family member who gets it. But yeah, it was just kind of a shame that there wasn't more of her, you know.
Yeah.
A little bit at the end or something like that. I think it would have been a little bit more rounded.
I agree with you, Janet. Although I agree with you, although the conversation was really good and really interesting to see, that you do only meet her for 2 chapters and that is it. It's kind of like, well, these 2 chapters are lovely and I love the interaction of a relationship, but they're not necessarily necessary. Like they could have been taken out, and I'm not sure how much would have been missed all of it.
Yeah. Other than her aunt and uncle are like annoying.
Yeah,
it was I was kind of expecting with Alice for her to kind of be like the not Carol last, Keris last, Nori, the radio silence.
Yeah.
So Alice's sister, who is mentioned throughout the book, but she doesn't come in until the last quarter or so. And her impact as well, her impact on both Frances and Alice is felt throughout the book. And it kind of builds and builds and builds like this. Kind of like Beth, Mermaid Beth in Loveless. She's kind of built up and built up and built up, and I thought she was also going to be like the Keris last of this book as well, and that she would come in and be like a big part, but she wasn't. So I definitely agree that there could have been so much more development with Alice, even if she came back at the end and said, I've come out to my parents, they still don't accept me, so I've cut them off. Maybe just a little bit of closure.
I've cut them off. Here, you have all my money from painting amazing paintings.
Yeah.
I'm rich.
Yeah. See ya.
Also, you talk about Beth and how it might relate to Karis in Radio Silence, because Radio Silence was written first, wasn't it?
So it goes Solitaire, Radio Silence, I Was Born for This, Loveless.
So it could have been that like Alice Oseman knew what she was doing by putting all these things like, oh, Mermaid Head Beth, and people are going like, oh, it's going to be like Karis, and it's like, no, it's not. It's this instead. They're like, oh. I thought it was sort of going to be like a similar to the Carousel situation with Francis in that like maybe Rooney, they had been like best friends, and then Rooney sort of made a move, and that broke up like the friendship. But it wasn't that at all. I'm like, that's good. It's something different.
So yeah, we're all of the same opinion then that Ellis deserves better, and Ellis deserves closure,
and all the money in the world from her paintings.
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah.
So yeah, any closing points that anyone would like to make?
No, but I think I just heard a cat meow. Was the cat meowing?
Yeah, Elbury's puppy. Come here.
Well, I think I've covered everything I wanted to say.
I'm just going to check my notes again and see if there's anything else that I wanted to say.
I don't have notes. I just have hope that I'll remember. It doesn't work with my shopping list. I don't know why I think it will work with this.
Yeah.
Oh, so
I
baby!
highlight things on my Kindle as I was reading, so I'm just kind of looking at quotes and being like, I want to give a shout out to some of the funniest quotes that are highlighted.
Yeah, go for it.
A couple in particular, I just need to find them. I think it's after, I can't remember exactly, but Georgia and Sunil are talking, and Sunil's just told her about Jess being like aromantic and etc. On my Kindle, it's page 168, but I think it's different to the book. Let me see what chapter it is. Oh, just before part 3, so the last chapter before part 3. The funny quote is just after their deep, meaningful conversation, and I'm assuming it's Georgia says, "Why do things have to be so complicated?" And then Sunil's like, the eternally wise words of Avril Lavigne.
Yeah.
Made me cackle, quite literally.
Yeah.
And then the other one, who's talking? Okay, Rooney and I'm guessing Georgia. They're talking about, so Rooney's like, okay, so question 2, who was the celebrity you last got off to? So they're talking about, things. And anyway, so that's that conversation. And then I think they're talking about abs and like Henry Cavill and stuff. Hang on, let me check. Oh yeah, so I genuinely thought she was joking. I thought that was just a movie thing. You really just look at abs and that does it for you. I mean, yeah, Rooney looked a little put out. What, is that normal? I had no idea what was normal. Maybe nothing was normal. I just don't get the appeal. Like, abs are just lumpy stomachs. And then this made really laugh loudly, and I was like, me too. So those were a couple that came to mind. Oh, there's one more, sorry. Page 20 online, literally at the beginning. I'd never even interacted with anyone I wanted to kiss, let alone someone I wanted to... ... I looked down on my bowl of cocktail sausages. I don't finger anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, those were just a couple. I was like, they need an honourable mention. So
I'm trying to, So I've got Rude. I've got a couple of things I want to point out. So first of all, the Oseman verse references. So one is on page 65, which is where she meets Sunil for the first time. On his jacket were several enamel pins, a rainbow flag, a tiny old radio, a pin featuring a boy band logo, one that read he, they, and another pride pin, this one with black, grey, white, and purple stripes. I've got, so notes for this quote. 1, old radio. Is he a Universe City fan, aka the podcast that Alice runs in Radio Silence and is thinking about setting up in Heartstopper? We stand Alice. Boy band pin, is that the boys from the Ark in I Was Born for This? So Jimmy, Rowan, and Lister. And then the Ace Pride pin, obviously. literally, this thing, page 101 with Pip. Jesus fucking Christ, Pip, learn to tidy. It's absolutely fine how it is. I know where everything is. Maybe so, but it won't be absolutely fine when you start getting spiders birthing under your sweatshirts. Ew, Jason, don't say birthing. And I was literally like, I feel so called out right now. Because I live in organized chaos. I know where everything is.
And also, the fact spiders do not birth, they hatch from egg sacs.
Mm-hmm.
Have you not seen Charlotte's Web?
No, for many reasons. That being one of them.
Also, I've got the fact, one of the chapter titles is just a mood, page 177. Could have gone harder with the pride flags. I mean, that is a mood. The fact that Georgia loves reading fan fiction, and she's reading Jimmy Rowan Spider-Man AU fan fiction. She's reading fan fiction about the boys from the Ark, and I was born for this. Love it. Those are all. I've got the Avril Lavigne quote here. I like this one. It's quite deep. Page 200. I see it all the time, all around. But when I got closer, I found that nothing was there. A mirage, talking about romantic love and everything like that. And then just this one with Rooney, and it still sticks in my head. And I'm just like, Rooney, Jesus fucking Christ. Because she's just like, we're wank fantasy sisters. And I'm like, God, no.
Yeah. That whole bit, I think, was probably one of my favorite parts of the whole book. Was just hilarious.
But then also, I may be a virgin, but I sort of thought that filling a hole was usually the point.
I highlighted that as well.
I remember that.
And there are so many deep quotes about Rooney as well. Rooney seemed to operate like she was a video game protagonist in a world of non-player characters. I went, sis, you've gone hard. That's 259.
That is shade there.
Yeah. You know why people pair up into couples? Because being a human is fucking terrifying, but it's a hell of a lot easier if you're not doing it by yourself. Page 315. Alice basically saying that she's ace. I love this one, 318. Then she said, give your friendships the magic you would give a romance because they're just as important. Actually, for us, they're way more important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Those are my quotes. Mariette, have you got any that you'd like to share?
No, I'm good. No, all good. My phone's about to yell at me for low charge, so I might have to.
Nori.
I have no quotes, but I do have a stack of books that we're going to be reading next.
Ooh.
Beautiful segue. Beautiful segue. So our August pick is At Night or Blood is Black. Mine are up here as well.
Mine is currently in the stack of books holding up my phone, so I'm not going to remove any of them because everything will fall over.
This is Zoe's choice.
So yes,
it's
Zoe's
nice
choice
and
for
small.
August.
I'm very excited.
Yeah.
At Night or Blood is Black.
I was like, okay, nice and short. I can do this.
So this is our August pick. Zoe's pick. It's by David Diop. It's translated fiction from French. All about Senegalese soldiers in the Great War, in the First World War. So we've got that one for August.
If anyone recognises the word Senegalese, you might be a fan of the TV show Better Place or The Good Place. That's it, which is it's mentioned there. Now I can't remember the character's name.
This is Janet's pick. We're reading Transcendent Kingdom by Yagyasi. Hard hitting, also a tippy tappy hardback, as Nori calls them.
Yeah, well, floppy paperbacks are tippy tappy hardbacks. It works.
Our October pick is Mexican Gothic by Sylvia Moreno Garcia, which is Nori's pick.
In the pile.
Yay!
Have you not got a tippy tappy hardback?
Cheers!
No, mine's paper. I get it in paper. If I can get it in paper, I will.
I'm the opposite.
And then our
the font is so nice. Sorry.
Our November pick is Mariette's pick, which is The Binding by Bridget Collins. This is the longest one.
Sorry, I've done this twice now.
Don't worry, I did it in the first month, so.
Oh yeah.
I've done it with both of my books.
The font is a decent size.
It's a very good book, I promise.
So this is our November pick, The Binding by Bridget Collins. We still haven't picked our December pick, but as soon as Grace lets us know, we will let you guys know. And yeah, thank you very much for tuning into this 2-hour-long live stream. We've done
I
well.
also feel I
Quick
should
thing.
apologise to Janet's mum for having to post her 2 books during this year of book club. So
At least I've got both of them, so I don't have to buy them myself, unlike basically all the other books. No
Also,
shade. That's just how it is.
I was looking at this book and I thought this shape at the top just here was a weird multi-legged horse.
And on that bombshell, I think it's time to end. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. All of our social media links are in the description below. So, like my YouTube channel, Janet's YouTube channel. I haven't put Nori's in. I need to put Nori's in because Nori has a YouTube channel, a booktube
Nori's
channel.
library.
I have linked their Instagrams, so you can check them out. They have 2 Instagrams. Zoe's blog, my blog, Janet's blog. All of the blogs are down there as well as a list of all the books we've read so far this year and are going to read for the rest of the year. So, yeah, thank you very much for watching, everyone. Stay tuned for announcements of all the quizzes because we have many to catch up with. We have about 4 now.
just so tired in the evenings. I can't quiz. My brain doesn't work.
So we'll try and do at least 1 quiz this month. I'm already set to go, so might be my one, don't know. But yes, keep an eye out on our Twitter for that, @ANovelBunch1, and also for our announcement of when we're going to do the August book club pick at the start of September. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, everyone. Stay safe, and we'll see you soon. Bye.